Okay, we'll do part of it today, and then we'll do the rest of it tomorrow. Okay, so today we're going to start to use slopes and intercepts to graph equations and talk about what that means. We're going to start talking about slope-intercept form. Okay, so everybody has their notes, pack it out. Remind me what page we're on. We're on page 7. Okay, everybody's on page 7. Okay, so pay close attention. All right, on your notes, the second slide says finding x and y intercepts to graph a line. You can graph a linear equation easily by finding the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Okay, any equation, if I look at a graph, this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis. How many points do we need to graph a line? 2. You can't just have one, right? If we only had 1 point, if I just told you this point, well, that doesn't really help me. It's a point. The line could go in any direction, right? I need a second point in order to graph that line. And if you could give me a second point on this line, well, now I connect the dots and I have the graph. Does that make sense? Okay. So if we can find those intercepts, if we can find where the x-intercept is and the y-intercept, then we can graph the line. Well, the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis. That's when y equals 0. Do you agree? This point might be the point 2. All right, can you erase that? This point could be the point 2, 0. And this point right here might be the point 0, 2. So if I want to find the y-intercept, I just let x equal 0. If I want to find the x-intercept, I let y equal 0. Then I'll figure out what x is. Okay? So this will make sense as we do a problem. Okay, this says find the x and the y-intercept of the line. 4x minus 3y equals 12. Use the intercepts to graph the equation. If I want to find the x-intercept, okay, on a graph, let's say this is my graph right here. The x-intercept is where it's on that line. I want to find the point. Well, that means I want to find x. So if I want to find x, I want to make y equal 0. Okay, so I'm going to take this equation. I'm going to rewrite it. 4x minus 3y equals 12. And I'm going to say, what if y equals 0? If y equals 0, 4x minus 3 times 0 equals 12. Well, this is just 0. So 4x equals 12. So what does x equal? 3. X equals 3. So when y was 0, x is 3. That's the point 3, 0. Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. So if I want to find the y-intercept, I want to know when does it cross this line? Okay, the y. And that's when x is 0. So I'm going to do the same thing, same equation. 4x minus 3y equals 12. But now, since I want y, I'm going to let x equal 0. So if x is 0, if I put 0 in here, 4 times 0, that's gone. I have negative 3y equals 12. Divide by a negative 3. Y equals negative 4. Okay, that would be the point x was 0, y was negative 4. Okay, so now if you look at your next slide. Okay, the x-intercept was at x equals 3. The y-intercept was at y equals negative 4. This makes it really easy to graph that equation. If x equals 3, 1, 2, 3, put a dot there on the x, and y equals negative 4, come down here, put a dot right here on the negative 4. All I need is 2 dots to make a line. I can connect the dots. There's my graph of the equation 4x minus 3y equals 12. So that tells me any point on that line would be a solution to the equation. That makes sense? Okay. Questions there? Any questions so far? That's not that hard, right? Not super hard. Okay, let's sit down. I don't hear any noise. Go back to your seat. We'll wait for Brecken to get back to his seat and for Tucker to sit in his seat. Okay, nobody can race to the door. You all have to stand up and walk in an orderly fashion because that's how we do things. Go.
Orderly fashion.
The page in your notes. Flip the page in your notes. Okay. Okay, so we're going to try this again. Doing the same thing, using the x and the y intercepts to graph the equation. Okay, so if I want to find the x-intercept, if I want to find x, y has to equal 0. So we're going to take this equation, 8x minus 6y equals 24, and let y equal 0. So I'm going to erase the y, I'm going to put a 0 there. That's gone. So now I have 8x equals 24. Divide by 8, x equals 3. So the x-intercept is 3. If I want to find the y-intercept, I have to let x equal 0. 8x minus 6y equals 24. Let x equal 0. So that's gone. Negative 6y equals 24. Divide by negative 6. Y equals negative 4. Did you notice we got the same answers as the last
Yeah. No way.
one? Did you notice any similarities between the equations?
They're all numbers. They have the same graph.
They're all numbers.
Yeah, they are going to. So, okay, so if I graph this, the x-intercept was y equals, what was it, 3, or x equals 3, y equals negative 4. Okay, x equals 3 is right here. Y equals negative 4 is right here. Draw your line, we have the graph. Okay, they're the same thing. Because the first equation was 4x minus 3y equals 12. The second equation was 8x minus 6y equals 24. Do you notice anything?
Double.
Everything is just doubled. So yeah, they are going to be the same because everything was just doubled. Okay, questions there? Okay, finding the x and y intercepts is pretty easy. And then it's easy to make that graph. Okay, the other thing we're going to talk about today is we have what's the standard form of an equation. Standard form looks like this. The form ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers is called standard form. So when an equation like the last one, we had 3x minus, or doesn't have to be, plus equals 15. This is standard form. 3x plus 4y equals 15. A, b, and c are just numbers. Okay? We have an x and a y. We have an x and a y because on a graph, you have an x and a y axis. Right? Okay, so this is what we would call standard form of an equation. We are going to want to be able to put that into what we call slope-intercept form of an equation. And slope-intercept form looks like this. It's y equals mx plus b. M being the slope and b being the y-intercept. If we can get an equation in slope-intercept form, it's going to be really easy to graph. Okay, so flip the page in your notes. Okay, we're going to go to the next page, page 9. Okay. So on page 9, it says using slope-intercept form. We want to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Right now, the equation is in standard form. Okay, standard form is 2x plus, there's really a 1 here, 1y equals 3. Okay, I don't need to put the 1 there. But what I want to do is I want to get it in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. I want to get it to look like that. M's going to be a number, b is going to be a number. So ultimately, this is what we did yesterday. I want to solve for y. Okay, so I want to take this equation and I want to get y by itself. Can we do that? Well, how do I do that? Mason.
Minus the 2x.
Minus the 2x from both sides. And we have y equals, and here's where I said you want to put the x first. Okay, so I'm going to write this as y equals negative 2x plus 3. Then it says find the slope and the y-intercept. In this form, y equals mx plus b, whatever number's in front of the x is the slope. So look at this equation, what's the slope?
Negative 2.
The slope equals negative 2. What's the y-intercept?
3.
3. Okay. If I know that, and I ask you to graph it, this is how easy it would be to graph. If the y-intercept is 3, this is your y, 1, 2, 3. I know it's going to cross there. I know it has a slope of negative 2. Up 2, left 1. Up 2, left 1. There would be my line. Or down 2, right 1. And I could keep graphing it. Okay, so once I get it in this form and I know the slope and the y-intercept, it's really easy to graph. Okay. So let's try another one like that. Here the equation is 4x plus 3y equals 9. I want to put it in slope-intercept form. We want it in the form y equals mx plus b. So I need to solve for y. I'm going to circle this entire term first. Let's start by getting that by itself. How do I get rid of the 4x? Minus 4x from each side. Okay, so we have 3y equals, I'm going to put the x term first, negative 4x plus 9. Question so far. Now I have to get the y by itself. How do I get the y by itself? Go ahead, Ellie. Okay, now watch this. When I divide by 3, I'm going to divide by 3 here, but I'm going to divide each term by 3. Okay, I'm going to divide each thing by 3. So these are gone. We have y equals. This is going to be negative 4/3 x. What's 9 divided by 3? Plus 3. Now it's in this form. Y equals mx plus b. What's the slope? Negative 4/3. What's the y-intercept? B is your y-intercept. 3. So you have the slope and you have the y-intercept. Okay. Question so far? Yes.
How would you graph that?
So we would start at 3 and we would go down 4, right 3. Down 4, right 3. Rise up or run, right? This is your slope. Or up 4, left 3. Okay. Okay, last one like this. Or last couple like this. Okay, we want each one in slope-intercept form. So if I start with the first one, I want to get y by itself. How do I solve for y, Eddie? Subtract 4x from each side. So we have y equals negative 4x plus 4. there's slope-intercept form. What's the slope? Go ahead. So I'm just gonna put m equals -4 because m stands for slope. B is your y-intercept is 4. Your slope and your y-intercept.
Does it matter if the b is lowercase?
It's usually lowercase. Both of them are usually lowercase. Okay? The second equation, solve for y. What do I have to do to solve for y? Go ahead, Eddie.
Would you subtract the 2x?
No, because that's already on the other side. I just want to get y by itself.
Subtract 7 or divide by 7?
Divide by 7. These cancel. Y equals, I'm going to write it as 2/7 x plus what? Plus 0. Right? If I want it in this form, y equals mx plus b, I need to have a number there. In this case, it'd be plus 0. So this graph goes through the origin. It would cross at 0. The slope is 2/7. The y-intercept is 0. Okay, let's try one more. Okay, I have to get the 4y by itself. So minus 5x. So far I have 4y equals -5x plus 8. Then what do I do? Go ahead, Eddie. Divide by 4. You're dividing each term by 4. So we have y equals -5/4 x plus what? 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Your slope is -5/4. The y-intercept, the b, is 2. Okay. All right, I want you to grab a piece of scratch paper out. Get a piece of paper. If you need lined paper from me, go get it.
Oh, well, I'm gonna give you a better one because mine is already correct.
Said that.
Oh, wow.